I have a set of priorities. I have a lot of goals, and every once in a while I just have to stop and say, okay, I've got to spend time with the kids. I try to spend as much time on weekends as I can with the kids. So my son loves adventure. So the whole Iron Man is probably his favorite movie ever. So on weekends I'll try to sit down and watch Iron Man with my son.
All right, folks, thank you for joining the Millionaire Enlisted tonight. With us, we have Brian Briscoe, and I have my co-hosts, Jeremy Buendia and Nelson Onwuzu. Brian has been doing amazing things in the real estate industry as well in the Marine Corps. He has a long, from what we see on LinkedIn, long and amazing career in the military, and then also in real estate. We're going to dive more into that and see what his adventures are, how he balanced everything. Brian, if you could take it away and just give us a little bit more of, what you've been doing, how you started in real estate as well as in your military career.
Okay. All right. So, I'm 40 something years old right now, so, graduated high school in the 90s. And, something funny, one of the kids that graduated with me got a scholarship to the Naval Academy. All right. And he was one of the smartest kids in my high school. All right. Also an athlete, and that's how I knew him. But I remember looking at him and saying, why are you wasting such a good brain and so much talent on the military? It was one of those things where, I had no idea at the time, where my life would take me. But, at the same time, it just kind of tells you how close-minded I was as a 17-year-old. My parents always told me, go to college, get a good job, and that job security is going to take care of you. So it was on that, I need to go to college. So that's what I did. I went to Utah for a while. When I was in church, went to Chile and spent 2 years in Chile. Came back in math. And I wanted to be a college professor. I wanted to teach math at the college level. I didn't have patience for high school students, but I really liked math. And I really liked teaching. So, got into the master's program at the University of Utah because you actually need a PhD to teach at most colleges. So I figured, okay, bachelor's, master's, PhD, teach college, awesome. At one point, I just kind of had the light bulb moment that a lot of people talk about. I had some math professors that were very socially awkward, awesome guys, very brilliant. But at one point I realized that I don't want to be like them. I want to have their jobs, but I don't want to be like them. And so I started looking for other things to do. What can I do? And I also had the realization that if I do exactly what they did, I will become what they are. And it scared me. So I started looking for other things. And, lo and behold, I remember talking to a friend who was a Marine reservist. I'm thinking, you know what? Marines, that sounds pretty cool. Honestly, I had no idea what it was, So I went into Recruiter, talked to the recruiter. He asked me a bunch of questions. And, I looked at Army, Navy, Air Force as well. But end of the day, I came back to the Marines. And I actually shipped to boot camp. Contract PFC, they're going to give me E2 straight off the bat. I'm so happy. 3 days after getting a master's degree, so, show up to boot camp with a master's degree and, Germany, I'm sure you understand. I had a lot of attention, the first couple of days, a lot of attention from all the drill instructors. I mean, I'd have drill instructors from, the other series come into our squad bay. Where's the math guy? Where's that guy with the master's degree? Yeah. And of course, all the other recruits would, point to me, and I'd be like, oh, here it comes again. So, I enlisted more to broaden myself, Of course, I was patriotic, and that there was that part as well, duty to country, duty was important to me. But what I didn't know is a month after I graduated, the World Trade Center would go down. So I graduated boot camp August 4th, 2001. Moved my family, which was a wife and one daughter, to Minneapolis, Minnesota to start a PhD program. And, 2 weeks after starting school, World Trade Center went down, and that changed, the whole course of everything, so, I started thinking, hey, I'm a PFC right now. I have a degree. Eventually I'm going to get called up. Eventually I'm going to go to war. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, do I want to go as a PFC or do I want to go as a second lieutenant?
Big difference.
Big difference. Yeah, big difference. So big difference in pay, big difference in responsibilities. So backtrack. So September 11th was a Tuesday. So the Friday before September 11th, I checked into my reserve unit. I went to the first sergeant. The first sergeant found out I had a degree and said, "You're going to go talk to the OSO before I sign your check-in sheet." And I'm like, "What's an OSO?" He said, "Oh, he's the officer recruiter. Just go talk to him." So I get in my car. I drive off to the officer recruiter's office. He explains to me, hey, here's how to get in. Here's what you do. And it boiled down to basically one thing. He said, you basically got to figure out what you want more. Do you want to be a Marine officer or do you want to get a PhD? And I looked at him, I'm like, I'm a Marine. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm enlisted or officer. I'm a Marine. That's good enough. I want to get a PhD. Okay. 3 days later, September 11th, I couldn't get through on his phone line. I called him half a dozen times. Finally, a day later, I got him on the line, and it was a staff sergeant. My case staff sergeant, remember me? We talked on Friday. He's like, "Yep, I remember you. You're the math guy." I'm like, can I come come down and fill out those papers now? He's like, "Yep, come on over." So, long story short, filled out the papers, went to OCS. Incidentally, I got a letter from the University of Minnesota that says that I can go back to the math PhD program when my tour in the Marines is done. He uses those words, tour in the Marines is done. So, eventually I'm going to show up in Minnesota with that paper and just, I have no intention of being a PhD student again. I just want to see somebody's face when I put that on the table and say, I'm back. So that started my military career. My first duty station was Okinawa. And I went there and, like a lot of people, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that just kind of sparked something in me. And I thought, okay, I need to figure out how to get this passive income thing working. And the real estate thing was what really appealed to me. I realized now I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I kind of looked at what I could do. And I said, well, I can buy a single family home. That's something that's easy. Anybody can do it. I can rent a single family home. Commercial real estate seemed like it was a bridge too far. Multifamily apartments seemed like it was a bridge too far. So, got back to the U.S. After that tour. Bought a first house in my hometown. A year later, I bought a house in San Diego. The plan was to buy a house a year until, forever. Eventually the bank stopped lending to me. It's like, you're a captain, single income, you got 2 kids, you got 2 mortgages, so banks stopped lending to me because I was too much of a risk. So in a way I kind of put my dreams on hold for a second, did a couple of deployments, Iraq, Afghanistan, MEUs, ended up living overseas again. And, a lot of stuff just got in the way. And then, fast forward, 2016, 2017, I deployed again on a MEU. I probably should explain what a MEU is. I know some people here know, but Marine Expeditionary Unit, a bunch of Marines going on a Navy ship, floating around, a random ocean. But had a lot of time to think, had a lot of extra time on my hands. And so started thinking about life, started thinking about, where my career was taking me, and what I really wanted to get. And I kind of realized that I'd given up on all the passive income streams. I'd given up on everything except for the Marine Corps career. I still had 2 rental properties. But I wanted more. So every time we pull into port and I'd get Wi-Fi, I'd go on to Amazon, and I would download dozens and dozens of books on real estate. I read it all. I mean, fix and flip. I mean, the Burr method, lease options, multifamily, commercial real estate. Every book I could get up my hand on. Basically, if it was on Amazon bookstore and it cost less than $10, I bought it. I'd probably spend $100, $200 every port call just downloading books.
Wow.
And go back to the ship where I had plenty of time and just read and read and read and read. And I gravitated towards multifamily. I think the first multifamily book I read was like Big Money in Small Apartments. It was just a really quick read. I think it's a bigger pockets one. Yeah.
When did this happen? The multifamily idea?
2016, 2017. I mean, the deployment started October 16. We got home in May of 17. So that's really when I started, thinking about this. Every port call. So, first port call, I just, real estate. Then the next port call, I get my phone. I start focusing on multifamily. So I get every multifamily or apartment book. And I really started liking the apartment ideas. So fast forward, get back to San Diego, I started looking at podcasts, and there was 4 of them that I had in my regular rotation. Michael Blanc was one of them. Rod Cleef was another one. Incidentally, I am at Rod Cleef's event in Los Angeles right now. So
you're having a good time out there, I imagine.
Yeah, there's my Rod Cleef badge right there, having a good time. And Joe Fairless was one that I listened to all the time. And then Kevin Buck. I mean, he focuses more on mobile homes, but he also brought a lot of different people into his podcast. So, every time I was at the gym, I had headphones on. I'd be listening to a podcast. Riding my motorcycle to and from work, I had headphones in. I'd be listening to a podcast. I mean, everywhere I was at by myself, I would have headphones in, listening to a podcast. And just the way the Marine Corps is, I had 2 years on station. I knew I was moving. I had no idea where. So in my mind, I just said, well, San Diego's a horrible place to invest right now because I looked. I did. I found a fourplex in Oceanside that cost $1.2 million. Yeah. I'm like, that's a little much right now, So I made the decision to wait until I PCS'd. To figure out where to invest. Then I get my orders to the Pentagon. I'm like, oh, geez, I work at the Pentagon. But Northern Virginia. And I remember I'm at my in-laws' house in Idaho, on leave in conjunction with PCS. And I'm listening to Michael Blanc podcast. And he mentions that he lives in Northern Virginia. He's in Northern Virginia. I'm going to be in Northern Virginia. And went to his website, sort of looking to see what else he had. And I got onto his, I think it's called like the Ultimate Guide course. Costs a little bit of money. And I thought, all right, I'll just jump in with Michael Blanc, So get out there, go to one of his events. I burned through his course as quickly as I could. Lots of videos, lots of things to read.
Did you do the membership, the mentorship? I mean.
I did, but not at this point. I ended up doing that, but that came just a little later. So at this point, it was just the online course. I decided to go to one of his events, live event in the DC area, and my goal was to try to buy something by myself and get some credibility, and then try to syndicate. So. Bring in a lot of other investors and buy something big. At the time, I didn't think that anybody would give me their money to invest in apartments if I hadn't had a track record, if I hadn't done it myself. So I go to the Michael Blanc event and just completely opened my mind to the possibilities. I'm around a lot of people who bought apartment buildings, and the idea of partnership for the first time was actually a reality. I mean, it's something that I've heard about a lot. You can partner with people, but all of a sudden, I had a whole room full of people who were all wanting to do the same thing, looking for the same thing, and all looking for partners. So it was just at that moment I thought, you know what, I'm not going to try to buy, the fourplex, the sixplex, the tenplex. I want to get something bigger. And at the same time, I started talking to everybody who were, a lot of Michael Blanc's, coaches were there, and everybody had a name tag, and on the name tag they had little colors indicating what they were doing. Some people were mentoring students, some people were the mentors, and I kind of made it my goal to talk to everybody there about the mentorship program, the coaches and the students, and so I walked away from that event with a whole new perspective. The idea of, number one, I can partner with somebody who has experience, and go from zero to a lot faster than what I was planning on doing. And number two, I also kind of made the decision that I wanted a mentor. I didn't want to try to learn everything in the School of Hard Knocks. I wanted a mentor. So, the two houses that we had purchased, we sold one right before that time, so I had cash in the bank. Sold another one just after, and the intention with that was take all of our profits from those home sales and move it into apartment investing. So, that was really, I guess the next catalyst, besides the person that before that was just that one event, being around so many people, and just being around the energy of it all. So
let me ask you this, Brian. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Would you say that going to those events or talking to other people, listening to all these stories, does that help eliminating the limited belief that you cannot make it to that level?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and at the time I thought that I was thinking big about, getting an eightplex. I'm like, yeah, I can get an eightplex. That's awesome. It's like eight single family houses in one. I didn't quite 10x my dreams. I 8x'd my dreams. But getting there and talking to people who were, who had thousands of doors, and hearing their stories, it was just like, man, I'm not thinking big enough. So, there's lots of research. There's a lot of people who say you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most, and I'm just like, I want to hang around these guys,
Exactly.
And there are a couple of guys in particular that really, stood out to me, one of them I partnered with on one of our deals, a guy named Drew Whitson. And then, Daniel Woodford, who's a retired Air Force guy, and his partner, Christine Jefferson. Those 3 people were ones that I talked to, and I walked away thinking, man, I want to be like them. I want to do it there too.
Yeah.
So is this when you decided to specialize, and this is your niche now, multifamily syndication? Is that the
correct? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So prior to, it was, buy something by myself. I wanted to do the syndication.
Yeah.
But I had the limiting belief that I had to do something by myself in multifamily first before I could do a syndication.
Yeah.
So I was calling, brokers.
Is that the case? That you have to?
No, absolutely not. And a lot of people, do single family first because they just don't think that you can go from single family to multifamily, or they don't think you can go straight into multifamily without single family experience. That is also not the case. There's a big hurdle and a big barrier to entry, but quite frankly, owning 5 or 10 or 100 single family homes doesn't really help you that much in the multifamily space.
And I think it takes the same effort.
It's a whole lot of effort. So if you look at the mechanics of closing a single family house, mechanics of closing on a multifamily are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
You do due diligence. I mean, you're taking due diligence to a whole new level, but you do a due diligence period. It's usually 7 to 10 days with single family, multifamily, 30 days, more if you can get it, and then you have a lending contingency. Same thing with multifamily, you got to get your loan together, so that the process is similar. But our first deal was 55 units. It wasn't 55 times harder than buying a single family. Definitely harder, but not 55 times harder. So there's nothing that says you absolutely have to go from 0 to single family to a 4-plex to an 8-plex before you can put your sights on something bigger.
Do you think your military experience set you up as far as discipline and how to go into a lot of these meetings and encounter people, maybe negotiate too as well?
There's a lot of good things the military did for me. I'm a lieutenant colonel, and that there's a lot of people who are very patriotic. I know you guys being military, you probably get thanked for your service a lot. So at first it was something people remembered. So at first I kind of used it to set myself apart. I'd introduce myself to people. Hey, I'm an active duty Marine. I work at Pentagon, and people remembered that. And so when I follow up, we talked at this last meetup like that. You talk to like 50, maybe 100 people, and you're like, yeah, I was the Marine. Oh yeah, I remember you. So it's. I think there's a lot of credibility in having served on active duty. My partners use on our website. There's a picture of me in my uniform. When we were creating the website, my partner asked me for a headshot, and I was slow at sending them the headshot, so they just Googled my name, and it was my Battalion XO picture. And so they just put that on the website, and I finally sent them a headshot, and they're like, nope, we're using this one. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, no, we're using it. Like, you don't know how many people look at that, and, it's just automatic respect. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So I called my lawyer buddy and said, hey, Kenny, can we actually do that? He's like, yeah, it's all right.
It's your picture. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, it's my picture. But it's my picture in a Marine uniform.
I know.
So so I just wanted to make sure that we weren't crossing any lines. He's like, yeah, you're okay. So yeah, as far as that goes, I think everybody has a story, and everybody's story is unique, and you kind of take bits and pieces from your story. People are going to relate with, or that people can use, so there's lots of parts about my life that I'm not going to, use to gain credibility, because it's just not going to do that. So yeah, in a lot of ways, people don't really understand. I think a lot of times what military members do, but they respect it. And then in my job, I mean, we manage people, we manage programs, and that's basically what I'm doing now as an asset management. I'm managing property managers, and we have a budget, renovation budget, matching renovation. We're doing renovations, we're doing timelines, we're trying to keep things on time and under cost. And that's all very similar to what, the type of things that I've done, as a military officer. So yeah, a lot of things from active duty have absolutely translated to this business.
So you kind of hit on it. You mentioned your company, and I've been following what you're doing, and I knew you were at that event. I think that's awesome. You're networking, but Four Oaks Capital. You sent me a link to like the page. I did. I think it's, I think you guys are it's a home run. So tell us a little bit about Four Oaks Capital, and I know you closed on a 40 unit recently, and you're obviously working on more. So how's that going?
For Oaks Capital, I'm very fortunate. I have three wonderful partners, four of us. That's why it's called Four Oaks. I met my partners through the Michael Blanc program. Eric Shirley's our director of acquisitions. He's based out of Wilmington. He's actually closer to Camp Lejeune than he is Wilmington. But most people don't know where Camp Lejeune is. Todd Butler is our director of finance. He's out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Brian Mallon is out of New Jersey. He's our director of marketing. So that's who's in for Oaks Capital. We're all about the same point in our careers. We're all, mid-level management, upper-level management type, and all looking to basically make an exit from the W-2 job. So where we're focused on, we really like the Carolinas and the Southeast in general. If you look at economics and demographics, where's the money moving and where are the people moving in the U.S.? Along the East Coast, it's from north to south. So in Northeast is losing population, they're losing money, and it's all going to the Southeast. So, our first syndication was 55 units. It was a portfolio. So there was a 16-unit apartment and a 39-unit apartment. So we closed on that one, several months ago. We're, well under our way on our renovations on that one. Really, really unique building in downtown Spartanburg, South Carolina. I think it's going to be a home run for us. And the one we just closed on was a 33-unit in Columbia. That's going to be a heavy reposition. It was at about 70% occupancy when we bought it. So we're going to fix it up a little bit. We paid, this is awesome. The owner paid $850 when he bought it in like 2004. All right. We paid $768 for 33 units in 2019. So we bought it for like $90,000 less, $80,000 less than what he paid for it, 15 years ago. So it's distressed though. I mean, we're going to put new asphalt in. We're going to put new siding in. We're going to put new windows on everything. We're going to do a light rehab on the interiors and make it look nice and respectable again. So that brings us up to 88 units that we currently manage. We've got another 80 units under contract in South Carolina, just outside of Greenville, a little city called Pickens. Incidentally, Clemson University is in Pickens County, and Pickens is the seat of Pickens County. So apparently they've got a good football team. We're underway on that project. We finished due diligence on it, and waiting to get this lending piece in place. So that's the next one for us, and we're always looking for the next thing. Our goal for 2020 is 50 units. We did 88 in our first year, 3 different apartments. We think we can do, we think we can close on 4 this year, and between the 4 of them add up to 500 units.
Okay, so all this is great. It's really awesome to see the thing that you're doing. My question is to you is, I don't know whether you have a family or not, whether you have kids or not, but if you do, how do you balance that lifestyle and the stress that comes from doing all of that with also being a family man?
Yes, I'm married. I've been married for 21 and a half years. I've got 5 kids. So, number one, I've got an amazing wife, so I work at the Pentagon. Fortunately, I have a job with a little bit of flexibility, but it's juggling. I mean, a lot of times I feel like I'm juggling, but I have a set of priorities. I have a lot of goals, and every once in a while I just have to stop and say, okay, I've got to spend time with the kids. I try to spend as much time on weekends as I can with the kids. So my son loves adventure. So the whole Iron Man is probably his favorite movie ever. So on weekends, I'll try to sit down and watch Iron Man with my son or something like that. Last weekend took the kids hiking. So while they were playing baseball, I tried to make Tuesday evenings with baseball. So it's just a matter of planning your time out properly. Ideally, I'd like to spend more time with my kids, but at the same time, I'm going to retire from the Marine Corps in about 18 months, and there's going to be a drastic dip in my income. So going from what I make right now as a lieutenant colonel to a retired lieutenant colonel pay, what I'm doing now is going to make it so that when I retire, we don't lose any income. We can still maintain the same standard of living as we're doing now. So to answer your question, 8 o'clock at night, 9:30, 9 o'clock at night when the kids are in bed, I'm sitting in front of my laptop, and just pounding away, looking over stuff.
All right. And I think that's hard for a lot of real estate investors, that balance. But so, my brother was cheering you on over there because he's also retiring in 18 months. But do you one, do you think you could have started this earlier? And two, for those of us who are doing this while active duty, and for example, I have about 10 years, would you recommend, the whole 20 and trying to reach that retirement goal? And I know everyone's different. Everyone's goals are different, but from your perspective, what do you suggest? Because, you hear a lot of, hey man, just gut it out. You're at 13, you're at 10. So what's your take on that?
So could I have done it earlier? The answer is yes. I don't think mentally I was ready for it. There was a point where I got comfortable. And you start getting promoted a couple of times. You start making more money, and my problem is I got too comfortable. When I was a lieutenant, I didn't plan on making this a career. When I was a young captain, I didn't plan on making this a career. I was in acquisition. And then I got comfortable. I did a couple of deployments and everything else. I was making money. I try not to look back and regret, but part of me wishes that, 2010, 2012, part of me wishes I was in that mental position where I would have taken a chance. I think there was a big part of me that was afraid, afraid of what would happen if I get out, because there's a lot of job security with what we do. On the enlisted side, you enlist, you got a contract, and it's pretty hard for the Marine Corps or the services in general to break that contract. You're in. On the officer side, same thing. It's pretty hard to kick somebody out who doesn't want to get out. So I was comfortable. I had job security, and part of me just didn't want to mess that up. You get a promotion, you're making more money. You're like, yep, I finally made it. So as far as your question, what I recommend to someone who's been in 10 or 13 years, look at where you're going to be at the 20-year mark with a military retirement, and look where you're going to be at the 20-year mark without a military retirement. And the other thing to offer is it's a different military retirement system that people coming in now are under than I'm under. I've got high 3 and I was locked into it. Now with the BRS, there's different options. So there's the matching TSP and different options for you. So, looking back, if I would have in 2012 with 10 or 11 years of service started doing this and buying apartments, I'd be making so much more money now than I am. So it's just a matter, everybody's got to make the same risk decisions.
Yeah.
How much risk are you willing to take? In 2012, I had my 4th kid, so 4 kids, I did not have the mindset to be able to assume that much risk at the time. Yeah. And to me, what was most important was a steady paycheck. So, and once again, it was fear. It was inside. I didn't want to have to go through, not being able to put food on the table.
I got a question. I'm just curious. So, Brian, I started the enlisted, the Millionaire Enlisted, right? One, because I'm enlisted, and the other one is because I wanted to help. Mainly the enlistment, right? I'm curious, from your perspective, right, as an officer, what is the conversation? What is the scuttlebutt about financial freedom from the officer perspective? Is it spoken, or is it a lot of officers that are afraid and that's why they stick to the Marine Corps, or it's just pure ignorance?
There are, a lot of my peers, and it's not everybody. There's a lot of my peers who are going to retire, and they're looking for another government job. They're going to walk out of the Pentagon wearing camis one day, and walk into the Pentagon 2 days later wearing a business suit as a contractor or a DoD employee. I think something we don't talk about in the Marine Corps is financial freedom. Because it's kind of counterproductive to keeping people in the Marine Corps. If we taught PFCs and Lance Corporals how to be financially free,
and be in
how long are they going to be PFCs? Yeah, how are we going to get PFCs and Lance Corporals to stay in the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
So I think we need to do better than that. I think with the new retirement system, there's going to be a whole new dynamic, because there's a whole new generation that, they're getting matching TSP up to 5%. It's not a all or nothing retirement system like I'm in, where it's, I get nothing at 19 years, 360 days, but at 20 years, I get 50% pension, So, not very many people talk about financial freedom in the officer groups, at least in the circles I've run around.
And so, with that, another question to add on to that is, do you find as a lieutenant colonel, I guess, pushback from your peers or your coworkers when they see what you're doing, and they might mistake that for you not being as focused or committed to the military as they would like?
Yes, is the answer to that. And part of it's true. I mean, part of it is absolutely true. I am not as focused as I was a little earlier. There's lots of reasons for that. I've got a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just getting brighter and brighter every day. I need to prepare for what's on the other side of that tunnel. I do get, I worked with, he's a great American, but he was calling me the Slumlord. He's like, "Oh, you're out Slumlord again." A lot of times in my lunch break at the Pentagon, I'm in the courtyard on a phone call, or somewhere where I have Wi-Fi, typing out emails to brokers or property managers or whatever. And sometimes I'll set up a call, walk out of my office, for 15, 20 minutes, come back in. He's like, "Were you out slumlording again?" Well,
it's hilarious.
Yes, I was actually, but on the flip side, the first podcast episode that I was invited to be on was From Military to Millionaire. And somebody in my office heard me on it that didn't know that I was, doing the Slumlord business, and she came in and she's like, "I didn't know you were famous." Half joking, but she's like, "I heard you on that podcast. That's awesome."
That's awesome.
End of the day, am I a little less dedicated now than I was a year or two ago? The answer is yes, I am. I think my work level has dropped off a little bit. It's my mindset has definitely shifted. The Marine Corps is no longer going in the same direction that I'm going. A year ago, I got told I was going to deploy, and that kind of rocked my world. It's just one of those things where it was the worst possible time in my life to go on deployment. You know, we had just moved here. We had a lot of things going on, a lot of friction in the family, kids in counseling. We just weren't in a good spot. And I get told by a general officer, congratulations, you're going on deployment. You know, I'm just like, you know, I'll keep it family friendly, but, you know, what I said when I walked out of his office was, you know, not awesome. You know, this is the greatest thing ever. But, you know, I think that moment kind of made everything very clear. You know, the Marine Corps exists for a reason, you know, and it also became very clear that my goals are no longer compatible with my career, you know. So in my mind, that was kind of the moment where I decided, okay, I need to start putting more eggs in the financial freedom basket that I'm putting in the get the next promotion basket or get the good fitness report basket. Yeah, there's definitely been a noticeable drop off. And, you know, I never wanted to be that guy. You know, I never wanted to be the one that was, you know, a little less dedicated to his job. But I'm finding that's, yes, I still work hard. I mean, I still try to get everything done, but my heart's not in it, to be honest.
No, I think we completely understand and relate to that. Because I get those questions, you know, as a more senior captain now. It's like, hey, you know, what are you doing? Like, you're out in the hallway because I can't have my phone inside the building, texting property managers, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I'm getting my work done in 4 hours. You know, everyone else is chit chatting around, and I'm not. And you know, you got called a slumlord. I got called a real estate mogul by a coworker. He was obviously not giving me praise. He was kind of shunning me because he found out I was purchasing a 22 unit you know, portfolio, and now I'm the mogul to him. So he always sees me and says, "Hey, hey mogul, how's it going?" And it's like, okay, you're not saying it as a compliment. You're saying it to kind of be a jerk, but it's okay. You know, it is what it is. So we
you know, I think at some level, you know, at some level that there's probably a little bit of jealousy there. You know, at some level, he wishes he was you. You know, and
That's cool.
I've kind of embraced the term slumlord at work. You know, so he called me slumlord. I'm like, all right, you know what? If you're gonna keep on calling me slumlord, I'll own it. You know? Yeah, sure.
So
if you
David,
want to call me slumlord all day, every day.
That's just what happens when you try and go against the status quo. I mean, some people wish that they could, and they don't.
Definitely.
I don't know.
So Brian, to wrap it up, I always ask these two questions, right? One is, what book would you recommend somebody that just come to you? They see you right now in this podcast, and they come to you and it's like, well, I heard about you, and I want to start into this. What book would you recommend right now for them to start reading?
Other than Rich Dad Poor Dad, because that's like
other than Rich Dad.
That's everyone's book.
There's a lot of good books. You know, I know Joe Fairless has a really good book, and I don't have the name of it, but he's got like a series of books and publications. You know, Michael Blanc has a really good one, Yellow Cover, and I can't remember the name of it too. Broadcleaf has a good book. You know, there's lots of good books, and you know, I wish I would have come a little better prepared on that one, but you know, any one of those would help. Another one that really opened my mind was The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller.
Yep.
You know, that one kind of opened my mind to what was possible with real estate. It's about single family, not about multifamily. But you know, he goes a lot through, you know, what you have to do, what your mindset needs to be like to make this work. You know?
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that he talks about in that book are applicable to multifamily. So, Yeah, there's a number of books. You know, eventually there'll be one with the Four Oaks Capital logo on it. You know, that everybody can rush to the bookstore and buy. But that's it.
Awesome. And the last question. The last question. Are you gonna ask something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the Michael Blanc mentorship. So I got his deal analyzer, and I think that spreadsheet is amazing. But do you recommend his mentorship? I'm moving to DC in May, and you know I'm looking to go full force with this. And I've been really I'm hesitant about mentorship for a lot of reasons. You know, you always hear the guru takes the money and doesn't call you and doesn't talk to you. But what do you think? You know, you've been through it.
So I would say that mentorship is not for everybody. All right. Most of the programs cost about the same amount of money. They're all $20,000, $30,000, something like that. But it's really what you're going to put into it. You know, what you get from Michael Blanc's mentorship program is a mentor, somebody who's been there and done that. And I know several of his coaches personally. You know, and one of Michael Blanc's criteria for coaches is they have to be doing real estate full time. They can't have a day job. They have to have progressed to the point where they're doing it all full time. So in my case, it accelerated what I was able to do. But, you know, there's plenty of people out there that can do it without coaching. So, you know, what you get is, you know, a system. What you get is somebody who can look over your shoulder at every step in the road, and also be an accountability partner for you. So, if that's what you think you need, then it's probably for you. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Is the answer to that.
Gotcha. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
So the last question, Brian, if you could go back in time and meet your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
Focus the long term. You know, I think when I was 18, you know, as much as I thought I had things figured out when I was 18, there was always part of me that said, I can worry about that later. You know, retirement. I'm 18 right now. I can worry about that later. You know, I wish that I could go back to my 18-year-old self and basically teach the rich dad, poor dad principles in a way that I could have understood at the time. You know? Work on passive income. My best friend's dad tried to teach that stuff to us. You know, my dad, an amazing human being, amazing person. He was not rich. You know, he basically told me, I cannot teach you about money. You need to find somebody who can. You know, my best friend's dad tried to teach it to me, but I don't know. My 18-year-old self, I thought I knew everything. So,
yeah. I mean,
that's a hard question because I wasn't there mentally. I didn't understand.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel you. I'm there too. I always tell myself, I wish I could go back and tell myself, do this.
I wish I could have, you know, given myself a light bulb moment at age 18 that would have just shifted my mindset.
Yep.
I just did not have a mindset to be able to do that.
Definitely.
All right, Brian. So where can the viewers find more information about you and your company, Four Oaks Capital?
So the website's fouroakscapital.com. My email address is Brian Briscoe. You just got to spell it right. I'm sure you guys will have it in the show notes, but Brian Briscoe at fouroakscapital.com. You know, super easy to get in touch with me. You know, if you go to our website, there's a little, you know, click through where you can type your contact information in, and you know, somebody from, you know, one of the Four Oaks team members will give you a call within 24 hours. So, you know, that's what we're advertising. So far, we've been able to do it.
Awesome. All right, Brian. Well, thank you so much for coming on as a guest on the Millionaire Enlisted. We really thank you. You know, we appreciate you being one of our first guests. And yeah, we hope you have a great time there at the Rock Beef event. And I'm sure we'll chat in the future and we'll stay in touch. If there's anything we could help out with, don't hesitate to reach out to us as well.
Awesome. Hey, thanks. You guys have been great. You know, I love what you guys are doing, and wish you the best of luck. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. Anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.